You know, there are many video games out there that are famous to the point of, being constantly revered and called the greatest video games ever. But there will always be the following of people that want to call that game overrated. There are some that have avoided these groups of people who, say, oh, it's so overrated. Games that have been able to avoid that, like Doom and GoldenEye, But there still have been some that, people will constantly say, it's overrated, it's not as good as everyone says, people make it out to be, too good. Some are true. Call of Duty is overrated. Very highly overrated. But a game that, trust me, is probably nowhere near as debated on, and probably has not been called either the greatest game, and at the same time one of the most overrated games ever, at the same time, by many people. There's never been one game that has been like that more ever than Squaresoft's 1997 PlayStation video game, whatever, I can't get my words correctly here, but the point I'm trying to make is it's Final Fantasy VII. One of the most famous and beloved, not only RPGs, but video games ever. But in this day and age of the internet, this day and age of, people commenting on anything that is on the internet, there are tons of people that have gone on this. You'll find that will say, the game's overrated, the game's not that good, that's boring, the story's not that well, this is bullshit, whatever. I'm here today to distinguish, though, is Final Fantasy VII really as good as everyone says, or is it overrated? And it's not so much to tell whether the game is good or not, although I will be giving my opinions on whether that is or not, but the more important topic is, though, is it overrated or not? And I think it is pretty damn obvious, okay, when it comes to Final Fantasy VII. The game is fucking amazing! I mean, holy shit on rye bread, this game is amazing! It fucking is. I'm gonna come right out and say it, and for the most part, no. It's not not overrated. Maybe it's 1% overrated, and I'll get to what I mean by that later, but this game is more thumbs up than I can give. Okay? And I am kind of living proof of how awesome this game is. Why? Well, I will show you why. Alright then, alright now, let's take a look at my gaming collection. Now, what I want to do, what I want you to look at in my gaming collection is, what is the most unique game in my collection, okay? And in my collection only, I'm not talking about in games in general, in my collection only, what is the most unique game the game that stands out the absolute most, okay? So let's check it out, okay? First of all, I got some PlayStation 1 games here, okay? So I got Twisted Metal in the original PlayStation long box, I've got Twisted Metal 2, Twisted Metal 3, Twisted Metal 4, Twisted Metal Small Brawl. So I got all the primary PlayStation Twisted Metals. I've got Metal Gear Solid, that's an essential to have. I got Mega Man X4. I got the 3 primary Crash Bandicoots, and from what I can tell, the only ones that matter. Gotta have those. Those are essentials. You gotta have those. You got a PlayStation. I got Crash Team Racing, because it's better than Mario Kart, because fuck you. I got Final Fantasy VII, the game in question. I got Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I got Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue, because hey, why not? I got a Bug's Life. I got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I got a PlayStation Underground thing because that shit's still fun to play. Gives me a nostalgic feeling. What is this? I got Frogger. I got, what the fuck is this? Like a Jedi Power Battles? That's a fucking game to play, even though it sucks. I got Spyro 2, Riptor's Rage, and I got like the only computer game I own around here somewhere, Star Wars Empire at War. But anyway, let's check out the rest of my games here. Let's see, my Super Nintendo games. What is this? The Alien vs. Predator, game with a lot of potential but fell kind of short. Super Empire Strikes Back, one of the most ball-busting games ever. Doom on Super Nintendo. God, this game is fucking awesome, and I am not joking. I got Mega Man X, because if you got a PlayStation, no, if you got a Super Nintendo, my bad. If you got a Super Nintendo, you need this fucking game. I got another Super Nintendo game around here somewhere. It's in my Super Nintendo. It's this game right here. It's a son of a fucking bitch! Fuck! Alright. Okay, anyway, let's continue my PlayStation 2 games. I got, Dragon Ball Z Budokai, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2, Budokai 3, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, the game, Lego Star Wars 1 and 2, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, Simpsons Road Rage, Simpsons Hit and Run, Spider-Man, Mega Man X Collection, Mega Man X8, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, Tony Hawk's Underground 2, WWF SmackDown Just Bring It, in the actual WWF version, because gotta have that. Twisted Metal Black, God bless this game. Twisted Metal Head On, the Extra Twisted Edition. I got Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance. I got the regular Sons of Liberty version somewhere as well. I got Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, the Terminator Dawn of Fate. Here are my PlayStation 3 games. I got Army of 2. I got Saints Row 2. I've got Arkham Asylum, Arkham City Game of the Year Edition. I've got Ghostbusters. I got Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. I got Resistance 2. Got the new Twisted Metal. God bless that game as well. I got House of the Dead Overkill, the extended cut. God, that game's fun to play. Here are my PSP games. I got Ace Combat X, Guides to Deception. I got Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai. I got WWE SmackDown versus Raw 2007. I got Naruto Ultimate Ninja Heroes. Don't know why the fuck I still have that game. I got Family Guy the game, and here's the Terminator, the movie on UMD, PSP, whatever. What else? I got, what is all this shit? I got Assassin's Creed 2. There's the Sons of Liberty version of Metal Gear Solid 2. What is this? True Crime New York City. That's a wacky fucking game. I got, like, somewhere in here, what is that? Can't see, it's too dark. I don't know. It's UFC Sudden Impact and then, like, a blank case in there. I also got, like, sadly, I also have Madden 2000, Madden 08. Don't ask why. I also got, what is it? Conflict Desert Storm 2 Return to Baghdad. A game that's so fun. That's so bad, it's actually fun to play. I got, what is this? On Game Boy Color, Mega Man Extreme. I've also got in my Game Boy games here, I got Super Mario Land on Game Boy, and I've got, for Game Boy Advance, I got the port of Super Mario World. I got Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku, and Boo's Fury, and, Tony Hawk's Underground. Oh, and, let's check out my N64 games. I got, GoldenEye, because that's an essential if you got an N64. It's the greatest N64 game ever. You gotta have that if you got an N64. I got WWF No Mercy. Great game, but overrated. Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Kind of an overrated game as well. Super Mario, 64. Awesome game. Gotta have that. Jet Force Gemini, yep. And, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, debatably the best Star Wars game ever. Okay, now tell me, what did you notice about this collection? Now, out of all the video games I just showed you of my collection, once again, keep in mind, I'm talking about my collection of games only. What do you see that stands out the most? What is the game that stands out the most of my collection? Again, think, my collection only, not games in general, because remember, if that was the case, then the games that stick out the most, that are the most unique, would probably be the Twisted Metals. But of my collection only, what is, besides Resident Evil 3 in there, what is the one game that sticks out the absolute most? If you haven't gotten it yet, and it'd be weird if you didn't, because, you know, the game I'm talking about in this video, it's Final Fantasy VII. Out of all the games in my collection, the one that sticks out the most is Final Fantasy VII. I have no other game like that. I have no other RPG. I've got car combat games, you know, the Twisted Metals there. I've got stealth action, like the Metal Gears in there. I've got side-scrolling action, like, you know, the Mega Man X's. I got platformings, you know, like some Mario games and Crash Bandicoot. I got first-person shooters, you know, like Doom and GoldenEye. I've got tons of shit in there. But I've only got one RPG. Now, as I said, this is excluding that one copy of Resident Evil 3 you see in there, since that's the only survival horror game. But I'm not very big on that stuff. I got that recently from a friend who for some reason didn't want it anymore, and I was like, alright, fine, I'll take it. But again, Final Fantasy VII is the only RPG in there. It is the only game of its kind in my collection. And that's what I mean, that I am proof. I am like living proof about how awesome this game is. I have no other game like this in my collection. Why? Because I don't give a shit about games like this. I don't give a shit about turn-based combat games. I don't give a shit about RPGs. They are not my games. I think they're overrated, and I think lots of the fan bases I come across for games like them are annoying. But this game is... this game I absolutely fucking love. And that's the thing. Me, a person who prefers instead more like side-scrolling action, first-person, well, shooters in general, not just first-person, but side-scrolling action, platformers, and shooters. I have this all of a sudden in my collection. And that's the thing. That's how good this game is. I'll be honest. I haven't played many other games like these. But again, this is the only one that even interested me. And to this day, it is one of my absolute favorite games. That's what I mean. I have just one game like this in my collection because it's that good and it's something completely different compared to all the other games I have. Alright, let me put it to you this way. Imagine if you had a collection of PlayStation games. You had all the Twisted Metals. You had the 3 primary Resident Evils. You had Apocalypse and the 2 Contra games. You had the 3 primary Crash Bandicoots. You had Spyro. You had the 3 Tomb Raiders. You had Super Pitfall 3D or something. You had Tekken and Gundam Battle Assault. You know, you had, and, what else? Metal Gear Solid, and Driver, and Gran Turismo, and Test Drive. Out of all the games I just named, what is the one that sticks out the most? The answer would be Metal Gear Solid. Am I right? Out of that collection in general right there. And that's the thing. That's what I'm getting at with my collection. This is, you know, the game that sticks out the most. I have one of it in my collection and it's all I need. And the reason I still have it is because it is that damn good. It makes me, you know, a person who doesn't give a crap about this shit, actually give a crap about it, you know, for just one game. But I've gone on enough about this. Now it's time to get on. I've gone on enough about, you know, talking about how it's, you know, such a unique game and all that. Now it's time to get down to the game itself and really see what's so overrated about it. One of the first things people constantly criticize about this game is the protagonist, Cloud Strife. I believe that's how you say his name. I'll be honest, despite how much of a fan I am, I forget how to say it properly sometimes. But I'm pretty sure that's how you say his last name. Everyone constantly goes on and on to say he's nothing more than an emo. A whiny emo punktard who all he does is whine and seriously might as well start cutting himself on the spot with that huge ass sword of his. And let me be the first to say that that is a crock of bullshit. I believe people are actually getting him mixed up with the main character of Final Fantasy VIII, Squall Lionheart. I believe he's the real emo one from what I've seen. But Cloud, he has not one real emo moment in the game. You name any moment in this game where Cloud has a real emo moment. Name one. And I promise you, anything you come up with, you will not be thinking of precisely correctly, okay? Because I know this fucking game. He has not one real emo moment. Oh, he has parts, you know, where he goes through some doubt. He goes through a character arc. You know, like anyone else, like any good character mainly would. But no, never once in this game does he have a real emo moment. You could say the character Vincent's emo, I understand that. But you can say Vincent's a bit emo, but Cloud, no, not one. Although I do believe I know the reason why everyone actually says this. And it's not because of, people think Cloud is emo, not because of this game, but because of everything else Final Fantasy VII related. For example, like the sequel CGI, the CGI movie, Final Fantasy Advent Children, which takes place after this game. From what I've seen and heard, Cloud does do a lot of moping, whining, brooding, and I believe everything else, like the game Crisis Core, all that portrays Cloud as like an emo, whiny piece of shit, which is one reason why I don't really like the rest of the Final Fantasy, anything else Final Fantasy VII related. There's this game, and that's it. Story's done. Nothing else needs to come after. Nothing else needs to be told before it. You got the game, and it's all you need to know. Everything is explained, okay? Nothing that's actually important is explained in anything like prequel related, like in Crisis Core or Last Order. Okay? You got this game and that's it. Screw everything else, and I'm pretty sure everything else like Crisis Core and Advent Children is what makes Cloud really look emo. Okay? In this game itself though, there is not one moment where Cloud has a real emo moment.
Yeah, but what about when Aeris dies and Cloud is oh, how can we go on without her? You know, he basically starts crying. I mean, what's up with that?
Okay, so after Aeris died, he cries. He cries over a friend, basically. You can't have a moment for someone to cry over the death of someone they cared about? I mean, what the the fuck is that? I mean, that's a crock of shit. Why? Because he starts whining about something important there? For Christ's sakes, Rambo starts crying at the end of First Blood!
Yeah, but what about after Aeris' funeral? You know, doesn't Cloud go out and mope forever? I mean, look at him immediately after the whole funeral. Yeah.
After Aeris dies, I'll be honest, he goes on to say, yeah, he's afraid of something inside himself that he doesn't know. But that's not really emo. That's not really anything much, really. And plus, he goes on to just basically say, I must go on. If anything, that's just a crummy I must go on speech.
Yeah, but what about later in the game? You know, later in the game when he gives the black materia to Sephiroth? Or like right before when he's all like, oh, it looks like he's about to start crying or something when he's upside down on the ceiling. He's like, oh, I wasn't pursuing Sephiroth, I was being summoned by him. You know, he's got all that doubt, and oh my god, I didn't think of that before. I gotta comment on a video now why this game sucks and put that.
Oh, come on, that's completely acceptable. Cloud just found out that he was completely being used by the villain, and that he's not who he really believes he is. A character can have a lot of self-doubt in them, can have a low moment. For example, Luke Skywalker in The Empire fucking Strikes Back. When he fails to lift the X-Wing, Yoda tries to encourage him to basically continue. What does Luke do? He gets up and says to Yoda, you demand the impossible, and he walks away and practically gives up. What the fuck is so bad about a character having a low moment, a low part? So trust me, there is not one point in this game where he has a real emo part, where he really acts like an emo punktard. There's not one part in this game. If he acts like an emo bitch in Advent Children or Crisis Core or anything, that's not this game, alright? Let's move on. So another thing is that a lot of people think that the villain, Sephiroth, is nothing more than a mama's boy. And I can understand why they say that with this whole motivation starting out as like, you know, the people of this planet took the planet away from my mother, who's the rightful ruler of this planet, and I am the rightful heir. But two things people don't think about and forget. Number one, Well. Oh, you telling me you people out there wouldn't care about your mother? You people, someone went up there and insulted your mother. Are you telling me you wouldn't go up there and yell like, hey, don't talk about my mother. Ew, she's the person that gave birth to me. She's so important. You telling me you wanted people out there wouldn't go all crazy like that? Oh, my mother means so much because she's my mother. She gave birth to me. I'm telling you, a lot of people out there would be just as much as a mama's boy as much as Sephiroth would be. But then there's the other thing people don't think about, and how you can really tell whether someone had really either played this game or paid attention to it. Sephiroth only really goes on and on about Jenova during the flashback scene at Nibelheim that takes place 5 years prior to the main events of the game. That's the only time he really goes on and on about the being he believes to be his mother, Jenova, being, you know, all important and being the rightful ruler of the planet. The rest of the game, he goes on and on to basically be, and to be honest, one of the reasons why I think Sephiroth is such a great villain, just an outright prick and asshole who truly believes himself to be outright better than everyone. Really, most of the game, he's not a mama's boy, he's an egotistical prick who, as I just said, believes himself to be better than everyone. For example, you know, I'll set some examples because I know this fucking game. I can remember practically every major part of it. When after the whole shit that happens at the Temple of the Ancients, Sephiroth appears and he basically says, you know, like, oh, but I'm even better than the Ancients. I've traveled through the life stream. I have so much more knowledge and I am more powerful than the people who were the rulers of the planet before. He goes on and on to basically talk about how much more awesome he is. For Christ's sake, this prick, after he kills Aerith, literally stands there like, and his dialogue is like, don't worry, Cloud. Soon the girl will become part of the life stream again. Now we just have to go to the promised land. Sephiroth ain't a mama's boy, as I just said. He's an egotistical prick. Okay? And that's part of the reason why he's such an awesome character. But yeah, as I said, only in the beginning events that shown with him does he go on and on about his mother and how she was the rightful ruler of the planet. For about 90% of the game, maybe a little more, he goes on and on more about how he is all-powerful and how he should rule the planet and how he will rule the planet once he's done with his plan. So Sephiroth really, no, he doesn't go on and on about his mother that much. No, not at all. No. He doesn't go on and on about Jenova. He goes more on and on about himself. Again, try to disagree with me. But trust me, you're not going to be able to, because there is no part in the game really besides the scenes during the Nibelheim flashback where he goes on and on about the creature Jenova, whom he believes to be his mother. Everything else is just about him and him only. And then I guess there's the scene with Aerith's death. Trust me, that is a really sad scene. It's not the saddest scene ever. I mean, I can think of some scenes from fucking Metal Gear games that are sadder than that. But it is definitely one of the most emotional scenes in gaming history. Although, to be honest, that may not be the reason why you're actually crying. Maybe you're crying because the boss you have to fight immediately after kicked your ass. Trust me, if you're not prepared, the Jenova Life boss will whoop your fucking ass. And then I guess I get to the final reason why people, why people say this game is overrated. People just constantly go on and on again about how, just outright say the game itself is overrated and that the story is not that good. To which I call bullshit. They're either trolls who want to say that such a famous game with such a, sorry about that. I believe that they're nothing but some of those people are nothing but a bunch of trolls who want to go on and talk about how, a famous game with a really, really loyal fan base that'll just snap at you if you say it's overrated, you know, they just love to poke fun at those people. Then I think there are the ones who are kind of jealous a bit. You know, then they're like, oh, it's not that good. The Final Fantasies that came before it were so much better. And then there are the ones that are like, nah, Final Fantasy IX's better. That's what a lot of some people come off. They either just come off as trolls or people who are kind of they either come off as trolls or people that are a little ticked off that their favorite Final Fantasy isn't getting the spotlight, or they come off as just people who want to call a beloved game overrated for the sake of calling it overrated. When again, trust me, for the most part, it is not. First of all, I don't care what anyone says, there is not one story in gaming history that you could say is better than the story of Final Fantasy VII, excluding anything Metal Gear related. Excluding anything Metal Gear related. Okay? Besides anything Metal Gear related, there is not one story in gaming history that I don't care what you say will really beat the story of this game. Secondly, the game itself, I mean, I know you can kind of look at it and think like, oh, it's, you know, started, you know, it's the game that started, you know, like, the whole thing of, if you like Final Fantasy, you get grouped into, like, these cosplayer, nerdy, creepy people. And true, I guess you can hate it for that reason, but the game itself is absolutely amazing. And from what I've seen and heard, it really was utterly innovative for its time. Changed so much from the previous games, from what I've seen. I mean, I just don't. And you people are probably thinking that, oh, I am just being like an angry fanboy here who's trying to be like, everyone stop saying the game's overrated, it's amazing. I already established that I don't give a shit about games like this. I don't give a shit about RPGs. I don't give a shit about these games that have these common, like, nerdy fan bases that people relate to that, okay? I'm not being one of those. I don't give a shit about turn-based combat games. Okay, like, I think other games, okay, just, no, alright, I'm not one of those fanboys. I'm not one of those Final Fantasy, Jesus Christ, what other games do I mention that won't piss off some of my friends? Oh, fuck it. I'm not one of those Final Fantasy, Zelda, Pokemon dress up like, you know, an anime character, go to a convention. Ooh, this is so amazing. I got tons of anime action figures and mangas everywhere. No, I'm not one of those, okay? So don't call me a stupid fucking, you know, your average angry Final Fantasy VII fanboy. Now, true, the game, I say for the most part, is not overrated. It is not the greatest game ever, though. No. It is no fucking Twisted Metal 2 or Twisted Metal 3. It is no Metal Gear Solid. It is no Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, or 3. It is no House of the Dead. It is no Mega Man X or Mega Man X4 or Mega Man X8 or some shit. Okay, it's not those. Okay, it's no fucking Twisted Metal Black. It's no Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Okay? I'm not saying it's the greatest game ever. It's no GoldenEye, okay? It's not that. But for the most part, this game is utterly, positively fucking amazing. And for the most part, pretty much deserves all the praise it gets. And anyone who says it's overrated, as I said, is either a troll, wants to just say something's overrated for the sake of saying something's overrated, or they're an angry fanboy of another game in the series who wants to be all like, no, this one's better, that one's just overrated. I'm not saying everyone who says this game is overrated, because if you legitimately do like something like, say, Final Fantasy VI more, okay, fine, whatever. And you want to say, that one's a bit overrated, fine. But for the most part, whenever I see someone say that this game is overrated, they pretty much have no legitimate reason, and they come off, again, as either jealous of its popularity or just as a fucking troll, okay? So, final verdict, Final Fantasy VII, not overrated. Not by a long shot, okay? Is this game overrated? Final Fantasy VII, alright, I don't give a shit if I even played that many. I'll say it because, again, I don't give a shit about games like these. Greatest RPG ever, I don't give a shit. Write your angry comments, you fucking nerds. I don't give a shit. Or damn, alright? One of the greatest games on PlayStation has, in a sense, the greatest single contained video game story. By that I mean, you know, the Metal Gear spans over an entire series of video games. This is just one, because, you know, we're not going to count Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, Crisis Core, Last Order. No. Okay? I mean, no. No. So, yeah, that's what I gotta say. Final Fantasy VII, A+. Grade A material here. Not an overrated game. It's not the greatest game ever, though. Hell, I wouldn't even say it even has the greatest soundtrack in gaming history. And that's one thing it's commonly known for. But you know what? No. Final Fantasy VII, not overrated. I've said my piece. There, I'm done. I'm going to go about my day, probably play some Final Fantasy VII. And the rest of you Final Fantasy VII haters can go suck a dick and fuck your own ass. This is 77 Skyrunner or whatever my fucking YouTube name is, signing out. Go check out Iron Gear Studios. There'll be a link in the description. Long live Final Fantasy VII. And just to piss off some fanboys, Final Fantasy VII only. Screw the rest. Oh, I don't know. I don't give a shit.